Well, I don't know what Sean did when he set this up, but apparently we don't have intro music this week again. This is why he's been fired. Okay? And then he's just burning it down on his way out of the building.
You
Like that
can
guy
have that
who,
in after, right? Like in post. This isn't live or anything, is it?
it's live. It's
Oh,
live.
fuck.
We've already got comments coming in.
I didn't even rehearse.
That's okay. This is it's all fast and loose, seat of your pants stuff. It's all good. Don't you just hate it when you're firing somebody and on their way out they like knock over a coffee cup on somebody's laptop? That's basically what Sean did with the music.
Yeah, burn the place down on the way out.
Yeah. So I mean, if anything, it makes me feel better about the personnel decisions that have been made in the past couple weeks. Now, for those of you watching, good morning, everybody. And you may be wondering who this beautiful gentleman is next to me. This is Taylor King of Taylor King Real Estate and Commission Impossible podcast. Go. Tell us all about you.
I'm just going to monopolize the whole show here to plug my business. Two said it was okay. I'm not going to do that to you, but I'm a friend of the show. I sponsored a few episodes last year. I'm a friend of Two's here. I sold his house last year.
Yep.
And I wanted to, before I saying this, I wanted to shout you and Sean out for the election coverage. We had that up on the TV here all day, and I don't know how you did it, but I didn't see either of you get up to have a piss or a shit. Like I don't know if you still have the Depends that you wore for that, or if you just like didn't wear pants. I'm not sure how that worked, but impressive either way. And you know, we watched like start to finish. It wasn't. I like the tempo and the cadence of it. The guests were great. It was a lot of fun. So I'm a
Thanks
goddamn. I'm another goddamn real estate agent. And you can find me probably best on my Instagram. It's Taylor King Real Estate. I got a website, tkre.ca, as in Taylor King Real Estate. And if you don't like real estate agents, I don't blame you. A lot of them suck, but if you don't like real estate agents, you probably haven't had a good one. And you know, the difference between a good one and the rest of them is that a good one, you know, knows what they're doing for starters, and knows their role, and their role is to act in your best interest, no matter what, to make the best decision for you and get you a good result. And my clients like me too. As a client of mine, he says he had a good experience. He might just be being nice to me or whatever. But you know, if you're I'll put it this way, and then I'll shut up about it. But if you're if you don't think you need an agent, you're wrong. It's a complicated transaction. There's a million things that can go wrong. You can get burned, and if you were like a professional athlete or musician or entertainer or whatever, you get an agent, right? And you get an agent because their job is to get you the best possible deal, right? So I feel like if I didn't get my client the best possible deal, I didn't do my job, and I don't really have any value. So anyways, that's what I'm all about. I do have a podcast. I haven't done a very good job. Two's has been giving me some good support and tips on this, and could learn a lot from you and Sean. This will be good practice, but my podcast is called Commission Impossible, and it's just for fun. Like it's for salespeople. So if you work in sales, any kind of sales, I want to talk to you. Like that's what I do. You can find me anywhere you get your podcast. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify, all that stuff. But I talk to people that work in sales, different kinds of sales. I've had, you know, car guys. I've had someone that went door to door selling windows, and I've had construction equipment and real estate, of course. So if you work in sales, if you're listening to this and you work in sales, I'd like to hear from you and maybe talk to you. And I got the idea for this podcast because I like sales. I think it's fun. I think it's an interesting career. And I generally like salespeople. I think salespeople are, you know, they're good talkers. They've got good stories. It's funny. So that's what it's all about. If you're interested, check it out. It's not just for people in the industry, but I don't know, take a look. It's just for fun.
Yeah, I was actually going to add to it and say that I'm not, you know, a salesperson, but anybody who works at a business or has a business sells things. And even from that perspective, there's been some really interesting things. Like you had that one guy on who sold
in Costco.
At Costco.
Yeah,
but he did, which is crazy because the amount of foot traffic you'd have there. But even with that, he had gone to the point where he had built up relationships with people where they were like, I need a new phone, and they would reach out to him rather than just going to Costco and whichever schlub is working there, they're going to buy a phone from him. He became their go-to guy in terms of building a relationship with them. And so like there's lots of interesting stuff. Regardless, I find it really interesting.
I should
If we
find a
didn't
guy
know
that's
each
got a
other,
vape store and interview him.
well, I happen to know somebody like that. I could
Put
probably
us in
help you
touch.
out.
He's probably
All
got some
right.
good stories. That person.
Well, it's actually, you know what? It's been an interesting time in the vape industry with the excise tax change and everything like that. And it's almost more of a business thing than a sales thing.
You know what? Never mind. This
but
guy sounds
yeah.
boring.
All right. Well, he got cut. And just for the record, so Kevin says Twos is homeless. No. Twos has a home. But it was a rental property that he sold last year. And Taylor was phenomenal in terms of helping out with that.
Thank you.
So without any further ado, we have Happy Airborne Friday. And as far as the Coot 6.5 goes, the big thing is that guy from the attack last week that we talked about, he was immediately released again. So 2 days before the attack in Vancouver,
Shocking.
he was released. And then after he beat a random stranger who was a woman almost nearly to death, he was then released again.
Did she vote Liberal?
Actually, yes. There's a screenshot of her saying excited to go to advanced voting Liberal.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's in the show notes. You probably saw it there very briefly. Now, if you guys have any community notes or anything like that, let us know at the end, and we can do a quick plug for them. Make sure everybody knows what it is that's going on in your community or whatever else. As far as like last week's community note, which was the election live coverage, I cannot thank you guys enough. The guests we had who were wonderful, and all of the people who tuned in. We had almost 89,000 people watching concurrentently at the peak, and we had just a little bit under 500,000 people tune in the first day.
It was awesome. You guys killed it. I hope you do that every election, and I'm sure you will. It was we had it on the TV here. Like it was a lot of fun. Like the way you kept rotating guests through, and it never got boring. And it, like to go 12 hours without boring anyone during an election, like that took some planning for sure.
Yes. Well, I mean, there was no shortage of interesting things to talk about, and we didn't even get into a lot of the goofier things that happened in the lead up to the election, like guys getting caught cheating and things like that, which, I mean, never happens at all in Canadian elections. But I suppose we could lead into some of the stuff in and around this election. So there's so the NDP. I've said this before, and with any luck, I probably won't have to say it many more times. But folks, the NDP are not a serious party. And they lost party status. They ended up with 7 seats after the election was all said.
They're a minivan party.
They aren't much more than a unicycle party at this point. And so the Liberals are 3 seats away from a majority, which effectively puts them in. They're an effective majority at this point because the NDP has no say in how things are going. And if they want to have a say in how things are going, even people as dumb as the Liberals are going to say, we don't really have to listen to you and we don't care. So we're going to do whatever we want. And whenever you feel like you want to have an election, just vote no confidence on us, which you're not going to do because you don't have a leader. All of your key people either retired or didn't win their seats, and you're fucking broke.
Yeah, they don't even need floor crossers. They effectively have a majority. So buckle up. It's going to be at least 4 years of this.
Yeah. It's the first Liberal majority in Jordan Peterson. He talks about how it's not enough to have the capability of pushing back on somebody, but you also have to be willing to do it. Otherwise, you're just a wimp. And the NDP don't have the capability or willingness to push back on them. And so they are wimps in this case, and completely, what do you call it when you can't get it up? What's the word I'm looking for?
Impotent.
Impotent. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not much of an expert when it comes to that. So anyhow, thank you. Thank you for that.
Walked right into that one.
All right. So that's what's going on with them. Speaking of people who cheat in elections, here is one of the, now this I didn't, this is,
What the fuck is this guy wearing, by the way? And look at his hair. It looks like a homeless person.
Here's him taking off the conservative one and putting on, I'm putting on the liberal one. And this is, according to reports, this is Greg Pulitzer, who is running in Saskatchewan. I think it was
that's the candidate.
I think that was one of the guys, because that does not look like the candidate in the picture.
No, take it from somebody that goes in strangers' houses for a living.
Yeah,
everybody has a fucking camera. Right?
Yeah,
just assume there's a camera there. I tell my clients when we go in a house, like, don't say anything. Just assume they're listening to you, because people with cameras, they're gonna sit. When you're looking at their house, they sit there and they listen to see what you're saying, right? But just assume everyone has a camera, and that goes for you as well. Election campaigners.
Well, I mean, why would you? I mean, in theory, like if you had your house listed, and you could listen to them saying like, "Oh, well, I don't know, we can afford $750, but do you think they'd take $720?" And then
like
an offer comes
at their cards in poker.
Exactly. They're like Kim Kardashian playing with mirrored sunglasses at that point, right?
But the next level though is saying fake shit knowing that they're listening.
Right? Oh,
that's the next level. But we don't play games like that.
No. So PSAC came out speaking out against Poilievre. Poilievre spent years attacking public service workers, vowing to slash 17,000 jobs per year. He chose divisive politics over his own community. On election day, voters in Carleton, thousands of them public service workers, showed him the door.
Now, I thought PSAC was what you hung under your desk when you do a 12-hour election.
Yes.
Don't forget to empty your PSAC.
Yes, your piss jugs. It's the rules of the road and the rules of 12-hour election live streams.
That's right.
Okay, I just want to point out that I wish this was true. I mean, obviously the part about him losing was true, but him vowing to slash 17,000 public jobs per year, I wish that was what he said he was going to do. Mm-hmm. But they just said they were going to put on a hiring freeze, and that everybody who retired, they just were going to leave those seats. They were just going to sweep them away. They weren't going to replace retiring workers.
I'm going to cut my attrition, they said.
Yes, I wish he'd have said, which, I mean, nobody quits a government job. Let's be honest.
No.
And that's the thing.
I got a story with that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so I had these clients, and here's the thing. He doesn't need to say he's going to fire a bunch of public service workers. Everyone knows they need to be fired. Everyone knows that the government is too big, and cuts are going to be necessary, that we can't afford this bloated public service. But so I had these clients, they moved here to Alberta from Ottawa, and they're very conservative people. And they bought 6 houses with me, these people. Anyways, or bought and sold 6 houses with me. They when they left here, it was late 2022, and at the time it looked like it was pretty clear that Trudeau was on his way out and Conservatives were going to win. Pierre's on his way in. And the general feeling, this is what they told me, it's anecdotal, but the general feeling there among all these public service workers, because Ottawa, obviously government town,
yeah,
they were sort of quiet quitting, like you said. Nobody quits the public service, right? They were sort of quiet quitting, and the running gag was that they're waiting for their PR bucks. They're all expecting that there's going to be a conservative government come in, and they're all going to get packaged off, right? So
and huge packages.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the kinds that would just absolutely fill
packages.
A PSAC. Yeah.
So, and the crazy thing was, these people moved out here as the prices were dropping in Ottawa, because people were leaving Ottawa, right? And that's what happens. People lose their jobs. Well, if your whole industry is fucking government, prices of real estate were dropping in Ottawa. And then all of a sudden, beginning of this year, and the Liberals start polling high, it looks like they could win. All of a sudden, prices started spiking in Ottawa again because all the pigs are lining up back at the trough, and like there's going to be another, and all these people that have been sitting there, like if you thought you weren't getting great service from the government, like they were just sitting around waiting to be fired. Like, yeah, of course they don't quit. You're leaving money on the table if you quit.
Yeah, and big money too. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's just, I wish that he actually would have ran on saying the amount of public sector we have is insane. We need to fire everybody.
Yeah, you may as well. They're not going to vote for him anyway.
Well, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
So a bunch of people that are never going to vote for you, they're
You're
never going to vote for you, and you're going to kowtow to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the thing that you're not allowed to say, that you're not going to cut public service because they won't vote for you. Yeah, dude, they're permanent liberals. They're not voting for you anyway. Just say the thing. Say the thing that we all know is true.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be nice if a politician ever did that? Right? But instead we had this kind of milquetoast thing. And that's why this whole Poilievre thing kind of irks me, because you wonder at some point whether some of this is just him trying to lose, because he had the game locked down for months, for years. It was just, you talk to the stupid people in media, which is pretty much all of them. You eviscerate them. You go viral. More people vote for you. Rinse, repeat. And that's what he was doing up until 2 months ago, where he suddenly became terrified of them and started running the Aaron O'Toole, Andrew Scheer campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get tweets like this, where they say Poilievre was the designated loser, and here's why and where I predict things to go. He failed because tightly controlled campaign messaging, which I can kind of see why he does that, because not as many people are as good with the media as he is. And if some guy running in, I don't know, any random backwater flyover state type place like Alberta says something that isn't on message and is going to hurt them in Toronto when they've got a tenuous grasp on it, they stand to lose quite a bit. Conceded quickly and has since disappeared. I imagine that that's just a whole lot of wagon circling and figuring out what the next steps are. Never mentioned or opposed his riding's expansion, ran against nobody, not even once mentions the 91 candidates on the ballot. To be absolutely fair to the longest ballot committee, they have targeted every, like, incumbents of every stripe. So they've done the longest ballot in all kinds of different by-elections and elections where the incumbents, Liberal, NDP. To say that this was a focused attack on Poilievre, I think, is disingenuous at best, because it's like racism. If you're equally racist against everybody, you're not actually racist.
Well, and the other thing about that ballot is, it's alphabetized, right? If you go into the polling station knowing who you're voting for, if it's Bruce Fanjoy, who's like fucking Carl from Sling Blade, basically, that they ran against them. Or if it's if it's Pierre.
And everybody in this riding will get some of them French fried taters,
biscuits and mustard. That's basically who beat Poilievre. And the argument against the 91 ballot or the 91 name thing is, like, people have had to find Bruce Fanjoy's name on the ballot too, so people went in and voted.
It's equally valid for both of them.
Stunt. Exactly right. I think, I wouldn't say that he tried to lose. I would say that he tried to not lose. Right. So you go from trying to win. Like, there's a difference between trying to win and trying to not lose.
Yeah.
Right. I think he was trying to not lose, and he's trying not to offend the middle. And here's the thing: like, he was able to steal support from the NDP on the blue collar side, and he had. And then there's, like, how big is the swing vote in Canada? Because if you look at, the Liberals have, like, a base that's good for 32, 33% of the vote. The Conservatives have a base that's good for around 30% of the vote. The NDP typically have 15 to 20%. But how much is the actual swing vote? Like in the 905 and in the Atlantic, where people that could possibly vote either way. What is that? How many points is that good for? Right? Like,
it seems to depend a little bit, depending on what's going on. I don't think it's totally static, but I think that 2 months ago you saw the absolute rock bottom for the Liberals, where the people who were still voting Liberal at that point, They're the people who it doesn't matter. It does not matter. You
Yeah,
could
they're
put
hardcore
Joseph
partists.
Stalin on the ballot, and they would say, "Hey, we could get a lot done with work camps."
Exactly. Yeah. And they'll repeat the slogans. They did, it's frustrating because they left so much on the table. Like, do you follow Nick Kuvalis?
The name's familiar.
So he's a campaign strategist and a pollster, and he does private polls for governments. But he gets people elected. He gets fucking Doug Ford elected, and he's a hilarious follow because I think he gets on the sauce and he tweets. You guys should interview him. You should try to get him. Sean should try to get him on because he's fucking hilarious. But anyways, he said that where they dropped the ball, well, he needed to oppose Trump, and I think whether you like Trump or not, you weren't going to win in this country if you were seen as aligned with Trump, and he allowed the liberals to smear him. But here's the thing: you could have opposed Trump without agreeing with the liberals about counter tariffs.
Exactly,
right?
And that was his
he had
potential Churchill moment.
He had an opportunity to go, okay, yeah. He said, okay, oh, what, you want to get back at the Americans by taxing Canadians extra? Like he could have made them look stupid on that. Instead, they got into a bidding war and who's going to charge the most fucking counter tariffs. And like, if you're promising the same thing that the incumbent guy is promising, because technically Carney's incumbent, like, why should people change to you? Like,
exactly. You've got to have a 10x advantage when it comes to replacing an entrenched market.
Yeah.
And he absolutely could have said, you know what? Responding to it, it's a shame for the American citizens that Trump is taxing them and Trump is punishing them. But just because he's doing that doesn't mean we're going to do the same to our people.
Yeah. I'm not going to punish Canadians to get back at Trump. That would have been an easy, like sticky line that he could have used,
Yes. And it would have forced every economist, no matter how much Jim Stanford gets paid through multiple levels of slushes, he would have had to admit that, yes, it will be better for the economy to have zero tariffs. And that's where he could have been the huge differentiator and absolutely shut it down. While, to your point, absolutely saying, you know what, I'm not aligned with Trump on this.
Yeah. Like you got to oppose Trump. But here's another thing that Kuvalis was harping on. He had an opportunity to drive a wedge with a pipeline. He could have said, I'm going to run a pipeline through Quebec. That is federal jurisdiction. It is our right. It is critical infrastructure. I'm going to run a pipeline through Quebec, and we're going to ship Alberta oil to the East Coast and sell it to Europeans, right? And Carney couldn't have stood up to that.
Couldn't have said that
because he's going to cower to Quebec. But here's the thing about Quebec: if you're conservative, you're not going to win in Quebec anyway. But
the Bloc will win, and they'll beat the Liberals.
Exactly. And also conservative Quebecers, like when they polled Quebecers, actual people that live there, not their politicians, they supported a pipeline. Like the Bloc and the separatists, they use this as leverage, right? Like, we're opposed to oil and gas. We don't want a pipeline. Well, you write them a big enough check. They
seem to forget that.
One, right? Yeah. But
that
was a missed opportunity for Pierre too. And that's what Kuvalis has been saying. And you got to give him a follow. And he's one of those guys, you're going to love him and hate him because, he's kind of team Doug Ford. But you hate him because he's always right.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because that sounds like a good one. Cause like we were talking about JJ McCullough before we got started and how we both kind of love him and hate him because he makes really good points. And then every once in a while, he's completely out to lunch. Now that's a completely different sort of love-hate. And that's the kind of one I could get behind. Also in this, now Elizabeth May is saying that she wants to become Speaker of the House. She wants to be the mediator, taking care of both sides of the House of Commons, which honestly, she's the best person for it.
Yeah, I love this. Now, here's the thing. She's not capable of being impartial, right? Like the speaker has to be completely impartial,
or at least have the appearance of being impartial.
Yeah, and she's not capable of that. We know she's only going to last, a couple of question periods, and they're going to have to find a replacement. But it's going to be fucking hilarious when she's in there.
Well, because the other part of this article, she's going to screw things up all over the place. But the other thing is, though, like just in terms of strict practicality, there is nobody better suited in Ottawa to keep one eye on each side at the same time.
She's got one eye looking at you, one eye looking for you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
What was
I
about
like
the other part?
I like the other part of this. Maybe open to joining the Carney cabinet. I love this too, because she could be like she's basically Jim Leahy of Parliament, and I think
Yeah.
Carney could bring her into his cabinet and make her minister of the liquor. And I think that's a gap that we have in cabinet. So
Minister
I don't know.
of the liquor.
It has to be
love
the liquor. Yeah, minister of the
Yes.
liquor.
I am the liquor.
I support this. Speaker or minister of the liquor, either way. Or she could be minister of bad karaoke. Did you see that video with singing with her husband?
Yes. Yeah. With her husband. I thought about putting a clip on here, and I'm like, I didn't want to have to put myself through that. I'm not going to put everybody else through that. But yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
All I could think watching that is I'm looking at this guy. I'm going, oh, should I say it? Are there women that listen to this? I was like, does he have to fuck her? Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways, enough about that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for now giving me impotence. All right. Stellantis is moving a bunch of their automobile production out of Ontario, and the union PSAC is mad about that because
PSAC.
All right, again, PSAC, but also at some point the unions piped in and gave their opinions on the business decisions of the companies they work for, and they got a pass, and then they just kept doing it. I don't really, if I'm running a business, and then aside from saying how can we make this better or whatever else, I'm not interested in unsolicited feedback from the agents of the people who work for me, whose end goal is just to have more people working for me doing less.
Yeah.
My interests are not aligned with yours, and your opinion isn't valid.
Yeah. They can squawk all they want, but the business has to make money. But here's what I hate about this whole thing about Stellantis. You know this about me, but I was in the car business for 17 years before I got into real estate. So I follow along pretty closely with the car business. I'm a car guy, but this has nothing to do with the tariffs. It's a convenient excuse for them because do you know what they build? Do you know what Stellantis builds in Canada? They build the Charger EV. So they got rid of, Chrysler got rid of the Challenger and the Charger and all those kind of, muscle car things that were getting dated or whatever, the Hellcats and all that shit. You can't buy a Hemi anymore. You can't buy a V8 at all anymore with Chrysler. But they build in, is it Windsor? I don't know where it is, but they build the Charger EV. So it kind of looks cool. It looks like it's kind of a throwback to like a 69 Charger, but it's a fucking EV. And not only is an EV, it's a pretty lousy EV. If you watch the reviews on it, it's not very good. It doesn't have very good range. It doesn't really do anything impressive. And its main feature is it makes vroom vroom noises. So they're trying to sell this.
It's got a speaker.
It's got a speaker for an exhaust, and it makes like V8 hot rod noises when you step on the accelerator pedal. And they can't convince anyone to buy these.
It's like the Impossible Burger of cars.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's mystery meat. So it's a soy burger. So they put this thing out and they wanted like $100,000 for these fucking things, and they're sitting there rotting on dealer lots. They can't go away. Oh, Benjamin, I knew he was a fan of the show. Anyways, you threw me off, Benjamin.
Okay, sorry.
Anyways, they can't give these things away. They've got $30,000-$40,000 dollar discounts on them. So they're shuttering the factory. So it's like, oh, we're cutting production in Canada because of the tariffs. Like, they wouldn't have built these things in the first place if governments didn't start threatening to put EV mandates. Well, and the bailout, yeah, that's another thing. They're going to get another one. But now the government puts all these EV mandates, and Trudeau comes out and everything's got to be an EV by 2035. And so these companies, they start dumping billions of dollars of R&D money into building EVs that nobody's going to buy. And now they're closing the factory and sending people home because someone's going to buy these things for you to keep building them. So anyways,
yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Once the shelves are full, you got to stop trying to put more stuff on them.
Yeah.
And it's That's really funny. The vroom vroom. Like you always see
Not even
people
kidding.
always try and make people always try and make the vegetarian stuff look like meat or try and make
That's
it
right.
taste like meat. When
Yeah.
was the last time that some butcher in Didsbury was like, I have created a piece of chuck that tastes exactly like asparagus? It
Yeah, I
never
don't know if
happened.
there's a lot of takers for that.
No. And this is exactly the same thing all over again. And the funny thing about this whole 2035 is that it's not actually going to increase demand. It's going to decrease demand because now you know that there is a very finite supply of gas engines in Canada.
Yeah.
Because
Go try
they're
to buy
looking,
a used F-150 or a used Tundra with a V8. You can't get new ones anymore, right?
yeah,
The prices are going up because people are like, I don't want some goddamn like turbocharged hybrid thing, and they definitely don't want an EV. So yeah, and now they've got all these EVs. And here's the thing, like if you're going to buy an EV, if you can make the case for EV ownership, if it's just going to be a city commuter car and you don't need a car that can go more than 200 or
yeah,
300 miles at a time, you get a Tesla. It's actually the only EV worth owning. All of the other EVs, I might get burned for this, but like they're trash. Like, Volkswagen, Mercedes, Benz, they can't give these things away.
no. No, although I was shit talking the Chinese EVs a few weeks ago and we had to issue a correction on that. So apparently it's like the only thing ever made in the history of the country that isn't garbage.
Yeah, and now we have 100% tariff on them because they'll wipe out our industry if we allow
Yeah.
the Chinese to
Yeah.
sell them, because you
And
could get them
then
for
they've got the
half the price.
reciprocal canola tariff that everybody just conveniently ignored this entire election.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
Which brings us to this. This is party needs to be not so extreme. Time for soul searching. What conservatives are saying after Poilievre's defeat. Now,
Yeah, which conservatives are saying that?
well, that's the thing. Can you point to anything extreme that was in their platform that Poilievre said or did at any point in the last
No.
several years?
Not a thing. And here's another problem I have with that is, like, look at the, what is it, 20 some new or 20 some seat gain for the conservatives. Look at the guys that won.
Roman
had,
Baber, Andrew
Aaron Gunn,
Lott,
Roman Baber,
Aaron Gunn.
Jamil Giovanni. These are outspoken, kind of right wing influenced type guys. Like these weren't soft, PC, centrist conservatives. Like those people won their ridings, and they won in tough ridings. So,
yeah.
anyways.
Oh, absolutely. Here's I think the first clip from the Canadian First Lady after the election. This one's good. Check
She's
this
a
out.
babe.
It's my great pleasure to introduce my husband, the Prime Minister who will make Canada strong and Canada poor.
And Canada poor. She's going
That's
to
a Freudian slip, eh?
Yeah. So literally, we've got the MAGA crowd on one side, and then we've got the Make Canada Poor Again crowd on the other side.
We could have had Anna Poliver. We could have had a foxy little
Venezuelan
Latina.
foxy lady.
Yeah. Fuck.
Like the first
we got
one.
Cruella DeVille.
The first one since Margaret in her heyday, where you're like, I would like to see a pinup calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're like, I would hang a picture of this woman in my garage.
Yeah. Well,
now to be fair, this was before
we get a hyphenated name first
before
lady.
Justin happened and everything like that. But yeah.
And no offense to anyone with hyphenated names, but like if you gotta hyphenate your name, it's like she was too good to just be a Carney. She has to be Fox Carney. She probably hates this country.
Oh, could you imagine? Like just how
miserable.
greasy she feels. She was complaining when he was the governor of the Bank of England that their living allowance, not the wage, their living allowance was only £40,000 a month.
Pity.
Which is like, look, I get it. 2 Sarah Hoffmans isn't a lot to go on, but that's a lot of money for most people, and that's on top of your wage.
And your free house and your car and your driver and your security detail and your meals and whatever the fuck else you get. Yeah.
Yep. And so anyways, Mark Carney is an economist and he's a genius banker, and nobody has any issues with this except for Fitch, the rating agency who determines the creditworthiness of the country, the day after the election, said, if you guys run on Mark Carney's platform, we are going to downgrade your credit rating, which means that you're going to pay more interest.
Yeah. Yeah. Kobe Kosh had a good editorial on this. He said, we elected the party that wants to take out a third mortgage on Canada. Like,
That's
eventually,
a really good point.
we got to pay that note. Like, we're mortgaging the future. We've already got 2 mortgages on the country. We're adding a third. Who's going to bail us out when we can't make the payments?
Nobody. China's going to say, look, we'll give you each $7 and we'll see. Yeah, that's the best offer we have on the table.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Go ahead.
Oh, do you remember the Euro debt crisis, like after 2008? And
you mean when Greek was screwed?
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just Greece.
People...
Yeah. It was Ireland and it was Portugal. So I was just looking this up. At the height of the Euro debt crisis, when it was like, we got to bail out an entire nations here because they've spent so much money. Ireland, they were like 105% debt to GDP. We're just about there. If our GDP shrinks a little bit, and by the way,
it's projected to.
They're padding the GDP with mass migration. Even Carney admitted that. He's like, a lot of that is just mass migration. And they count real estate. We got an inflated real estate market. You got, $800,000, dog crate condos in Toronto count towards the GDP. That starts to shrink. The debt goes up. He wants to borrow another $200 billion. That'll put us like, I asked Grok, so I don't know. You could verify this, fact check me, but like that puts us around 105, 106%. That's like debt crisis. Ireland is about to collapse. You know how Ireland got out of that?
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
How did Ireland get out of that, Taylor?
Yeah, well, they attracted business. They dropped
what did they
corporate
do
income tax.
They dropped corporate income tax, and all of a sudden, everybody moved there, and they made shit tons of money.
They're the fucking tech capital of the world. Yeah,
isn't it weird how when you tax something, when you impose an additional cost above and beyond what the market would want it to be at, you discourage future growth in that direction.
Yeah.
Deadweight losses, and taxation causes those. And if you eliminate the deadweight losses, the economy just explodes in a good way.
Yeah. And speaking of missed opportunities for the Conservatives, like that could have been the angle. Like, here's how we're going to defeat Trump. We're going to drop corporate income tax and we're going to steal all of his tech companies. They're going to make them all relocate up here. Right. I guess maybe they didn't think Canadians were intelligent enough to have that conversation, and maybe they're right.
Well, you know what? I kind of just did a 12-hour analysis of how intelligent Canadians are, and they might have been right.
Yeah. You got the Peace Act to prove it.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew it was in here somewhere, but I couldn't find it. But here you go. Suspect released after tours violently assaulted in Vancouver. And then she goes, early voted for Liberals yesterday.
Yeah.
Could you imagine her walking into the voting booth, literally looking like she got hit by a fucking car?
Yeah.
And bragging about the fact that she's going to vote for the people who created this situation that she is now in.
But he loves me.
He only beats me because I make him angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this, I was going to get to this before, but Zane brought up a really good point, is that Ellis Ross won his riding as well. And so that was the northwest of BC. And that guy is an absolute beauty. I said it during the live stream. I was like, this is
Andrew Lutton, another good example. Thanks, Zane.
Yeah. Yeah. But Ellis Ross, he was like the one guy I wanted, to win the most. And he did.
I like Ellis.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What else we have going on here? Okay. Elections Canada. I just want to bring this up. So we talked about this in the live stream, but it bears it. We got to beat this dead horse. And by dead horse, I mean dead website. So Elections Canada, the website went down during the election. You have this entire department, probably floors, if not buildings full of people. And you bring them in and you say, you have one job. And it is for one day every 4 years, this website has to work. So do what you got to do. Figure it out. One website has to work for one day out of every almost 1,500 days.
This is like Homer Simpson when he bought all the pumpkins. I think
don't
these
think
are
I
going
saw
to
that
peak
one.
right in November sometime. You know, actually, what this reminds me of, it reminds me of the opening credits in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Those who were responsible for sacking the people have been sacked.
Have been sacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's elections.
And that's the thing is that I want this to go up the flagpole. I want the people who were in charge of making sure that those people were in charge of making sure that the website worked. I want them gone.
Well, I got
Where's
bad
the
news for you.
accountability? Where's
They probably all get promotions and raises.
Yeah. Oh, we really like the way you limited the public discourse during the election. We want to see more of it. So we're going to actually close down the website, and we're going to pay you all of your usual wages to make sure that that website doesn't go back up again.
Yeah, perfect.
So Rosie Barton, I'm not sure if you saw this or not. If you were watching us, you didn't see it. But
I did catch
actually,
this
you know what?
clip,
This is a perfect still of Rosie Barton. I don't think I could have picked a better place to pause it. But here's her at the very start when the votes were just starting to come in. This is our nonpartisan public broadcaster whose job is to, without any bias, represent the thoughts, interests, and beliefs of everybody across this country.
Yep.
As you can see, there's been some movement there at the bottom of your screen. 2-2 so far.
Yeah, it's very incremental movement. We have 4 of 7.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
At least the mask is off. At least they're not pretending anymore. I mean, you can't blame them. Like they're
Well, they were
literally
looking
their
down the
jobs are on
barrel.
the line.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's either Rosemary Barton. It was a coin flip. She was either going to continue to have this job, or she was going to become a barista and probably lose 80 pounds in the next year.
Oh no, she would have been a senator.
If Polyev won, you think he would have been?
No, never mind.
No. All right. Now here's what I want to talk about today. This is interesting because we were just starting to get into this, and I'm like, no, we got to save it for the live show. Jason Kenney has come back from the dead to be the most Jason Kenney person you could ever imagine. And so, anyway, here's him talking about the Republican Party of Alberta. One of many cynical fundraising grifts that will seek to monetize people's frustration. These guys have learned from the MAGA industry how to do this. It's big business in the U.S. Don't be one of their marks.
Well, yeah. On one hand, he does have a valid point. There's a lot of competing grifts for separatism support because there's so many pissed off Albertans. But Jason Kenney, you know, he's a snake. He's been lying dormant. He's been just reactivated like in, I don't know, February, March. And you know, I called this early. You know, I said like he started chirping in March. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of talk about Doug Ford. People are going, what the fuck is Doug Ford doing? How come he's campaigning against the Conservatives?
Because he wants Polyev's job.
Well, and this is the comment I made. I said, it ain't Ford, it's Kenney. It's Kenney lurking in the background, and he I think it'll all lead back to him. He wants the job. He's always wanted the job, even when he was Premier of Alberta. You know, I always thought he just saw that as a launch pad to get the PM job. So he's gunning for it. I don't think he's electable. Alberta doesn't like him. And you know, it's funny, we were saying earlier, this is what I think his scheme is going to be. So we'll see if this proves out. But look at his profile. He's got fucking Israel flag and a Ukraine flag. Anyways,
yep.
He's gonna. The biggest dirt that the Liberals have on him is that he was part of the, you know, religious right that opposed gay marriage, and he's got some skeletons in his closet about that, right? But like, I think he's going to address that head on. He's going to hold a press conference during Toronto Pride. He's going to come out as gay. He's going to come out of the closet, and everyone will applaud him for being so brave and such a hero. And it kind of answers a lot of questions about him and why he was so opposed to gay marriage and all that. He's a
because he was trying to pray away his own gay. Although I will say he's probably not going to come out of the closet a man with that much girth is probably going to come out of the sea can.
Yeah, one way or the other, he's coming out, and he's going to make a run for it. But I think I think he's showing, like, he's been showing false support for Pierre. I think he wanted him to go down, and he wants the job.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, he has been longtime listeners of 222 Minutes may remember an entire episode called Jason Kenney is a Jason Kenneyist. This guy has been in it for himself the whole time. When push comes to shove, he's always looking after his own interests. And that's where, like, as much as I think that he's a complete waste of time and he doesn't deserve to be listened to at all, when he talks about grifting, he is a subject matter expert. Okay, there is nobody else, with the possible exception of Elizabeth May, who has gone further on pretending to support things that aren't actually in anybody's best interest because he gets rich along the way. So, for example, if you want to talk about grifts, he became Stephen Harper's parliamentary secretary in 2006. In 2007, Stephen Harper, as much as the Conservatives hate to admit this, set the current equalization formula. Stephen Harper did that. The one that gave fucking Quebec free everything. Right. I asked Grok, I said, how much money did Jason Kenney make between when that equalization formula came out and when he spoke out about it personally as a federal MP? And Grok was like, well, he never did. And so he gets into, and I just said the current equalization formula, and he says he was Stephen Harper's parliamentary secretary when Stephen Harper rolled it out, which we all knew anyway. But he was then, from 2007 until 2016, September 2016, he was getting paid to represent the interests of Alberta in Ottawa. And never once did he speak out against that equalization formula until he was premier of Alberta, and it was really convenient for him to do so. And so Grok said, given the fact that he didn't, you could fairly assume that he got paid $2.17 million as a federal member of parliament that never once spoke out against the current equalization formula. So as much as he is a grifting piece of shit, there is a time and place to listen to him. And if anybody knows how to recognize a psychopathic grifter, it is going to be this guy, because nobody does it better than him.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, we were talking about this before too, but if he actually tries to run in leadership, he's not going to win any of the Conservative votes. He's going to get wiped out in Alberta. And if the people running against him want to beat him, they're just going to do a poll, and they're going to go to the different provinces and say, how much do you support Kenney? And it's going to be wherever it is in Ontario and wherever it is in other places. And then the support for him in Alberta is going to be probably single digits.
Yeah.
And they'll say, isn't it weird that the people who know you best unilaterally think that you're a piece of crap?
Yeah.
That
but he imagines that he can win. I guess he's got a inflated ego.
But he's not going to win the right-wing voters, because they all know him well enough to know that he's a piece of crap. He's not going to win the centrist voters because they'll never vote for a Conservative anyway. So who the hell is left to vote for this guy? Nobody. He's the only person who stands to gain from Jason Kenney becoming leader of the Conservative Party is Maxime Bernier.
Yeah. Fuck Jason Kenney.
Yes. I have more Jason Kenney stuff, but I feel like we're good. I feel like we've covered him enough. So this is an interesting clip. So as you guys probably know, because it's all anybody's been talking about, Alberta's pretty fed up right now. And the UCP put forward amendments to the Jason Kenney piece of crap legislation to actually make referendum questions something that are viable and possible. And the media doesn't like it.
Directly to them. And how would you characterize, I guess, your perception of your relationship with them when they're seeming quite frustrated?
Well, I can see that the media is trying to describe this legislation as something it's not. It's a citizen initiative change that any petition can come forward. I gave some examples in the legislature yesterday. In California, which is a very left-wing jurisdiction, they have brought forward petitions on rent control. They brought forward petitions on legalizing cannabis. I would just encourage people to not look at this through an ideological lens. If you've got an issue that is important to you, that you think can garner the support of your fellow citizens, get out there, start a petition campaign. Once this legislation is passed, you have 120 days. You'll be able to, based on the previous voter turnout, you'd be able to get 177,000 signatures, and you can put it to the people in the next scheduled referendum.
So yes, and
You know what, Tews? Before you make your point, this type of to give people this kind of say, and to have people's voices brought out to by their representatives, and brought forward in referendums and brought into legislature and parliament. This is an attack on our democracy.
yes, God forbid we could let their voices be heard. And that's the funny thing, is that you've got all these people speaking out against it, who are like, oh, the same people who said that Poilievre's going to be a fascist, that he was just going to come in and it was going to be this authoritarian nightmare. Danielle Smith passes something or proposes something that's going to get passed, that's going to give more people more options for direct influence of what happens in their legislature. They're like, well, this cannot fucking stand.
This is literal fascism. These I've had enough of these right-wing
Fascism,
authoritarian
fascist democracies where we let people make decisions, and all these
We need to defend our democracy from referendums like this.
We need to defend our democracy from the people who might vote against it. This is militant libertarianism. I am going to let you do whatever you want to do, and if you don't, I'm going to shoot you.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, you just every single time, like even during the last month, every single time there's another story like this, you're like, you cannot possibly hate the media enough. And then they're like, hold my subsidy.
Hold my subsidy. It's okay when Quebec does it, though.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is that Alberta. So here's the big disconnect, is that Ottawa says, we do all kinds of shit for you. Why aren't you more grateful? And the thing about it is that it's stuff that we don't want.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we spent $40 million on a pipeline. A thank you would be nice. Well, no. We didn't want you to spend any money on a pipeline. We wanted a regulatory framework that would mean that private companies would build it, and we wouldn't have to do any government money. And even if you wanted to say that we at least appreciate the pipeline, we don't appreciate the fact that it went 800% over budget because you guys can't manage a fucking project to save your life.
Yeah.
So you
have to halt all construction to move an anthill.
Yeah. You could, in theory, say that the $5 or $6 billion that it was originally supposed to be, tenuous. But if we gave you that, you cannot also say, and where's our gratitude for the fact that we can't get a reasonable timeline? Where's the gratitude for the fact that we went hundreds of % over budget? Where's the gratitude for the fact that we're all a bunch of idiots? You're not going to give us any thank you for that? No.
After all I've done for you.
Yeah. After all of the money we wasted going over budget, you're not even going to thank us for our incompetence? No. Never in a billion years. Ever. And that goes into this, where if Canada wants Alberta to stay, it's actually quite simple. Just treat them fairly. And that's all anybody's wanted. Whenever Quebec gets something, you say, well, could we get that too? No, stop being a bigot.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of an extreme response. Like, what if we just wanted to do there? No, quiet. This is this democracy.
Can we collect our own taxes? No, you're MAGA North. You're Maple MAGA.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't even have maple trees out there. Quebec's the place that fucking has them all.
exactly.
Ottawa could fix the House of Commons so it's proportional to population. Well, what if we just had everybody represented equally in Ottawa? Is that crazy? Is that Maple MAGA? Fix the Senate so it's elected
That would
and
be a
there
threat to our democracy.
an equal number of seats per province would be a threat to our democracy. Repeal the multiple pieces of legislation preventing pipeline and energy project construction and let the private sectors get to work. Just quit being dicks.
Yeah.
Get rid of the equalization program. I am sick and tired of the money I earn going to Ottawa, getting funneled around like those street guys with the 3 cups and the ball underneath.
Yeah.
In Ottawa for a little bit, and then handing that same fucking dollar off to some frog so he could put it in his tight jeans and go buy a fucking baguette with it.
You know, it hurts even more when you're a business owner. It's like, it's not like there's, you know, it's being carved a slice off your paycheck. You got to write a big check every April and send it out there.
Mhm.
And you just know they're going to waste half of it and steal the other half.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I've been telling people when they're like, "Oh, how's the vape store going?" Tell them I've been doing like 150 episodes of this mashup thing, and nothing will turn you into an extremist faster than having a business.
Yep.
Yeah. Convert transfer payments using a tax point transfer. Yeah, maybe. Give up the spending power on issues that are provincial jurisdiction. That's the other thing, is that the federal government, they realized at some point that they can't dictate what happens in a province. But when all the money goes to them first and then to the provinces, they can say, well, look, if you want your money back, we're not saying you have to do this, but if you want your money back, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're going to smile about it and you're going to shut up about it. And a thank you would be nice.
Yeah.
And that goes away. If Alberta collects its own tax revenue, then it says, look, we've already got the money. So piss up.
Send you what's left.
Yeah. We'll let
Sorry,
you know if there's any
you don't have
change.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
You know, I was totally gonna pay you, but then we just don't have it. Sorry, next year maybe.
Sorry. We actually had $20 billion set aside for federal taxes and also for economic deadweight losses caused by stupid regulations. And then the problem, I guess it's our fault because we shouldn't have grouped those two things together. But that $20 billion got spent up real quick, and now we don't have any remaining to send you.
Let's call it a wash.
Yeah. So, I mean, fair enough. The money went out into the ether. It's your job. It's your fault because you didn't get it.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then you've got the First Nations who are saying that she's stoking separatism talks. I don't think that anybody in Alberta has been stoking separatism talks.
They're happening organically.
Well, no. It's if you want to get mad at the people who were stoking separatism talks in this country, they're all in fucking Ottawa and fucking Quebec.
Yeah.
Like, we're mad because you keep beating us. Like, no one would be talking about separation if you guys just shut up and quit paying and kept paying for everything while we talk down to you about it. Yeah, but like, what if we don't want that? Well, then you're a separatist and you're stoking separation talks. Well, aren't you stoking it by giving us a raw deal? Is there no ownership for the first step taken in this journey?
Yeah.
No, it's like, this is victim blaming. Like, imagine going to a battered women's shelter and being like, none of you would be here if you could just figure out how to cook a fucking meatloaf. That's what the federal government is doing to Western Canada right now.
Yeah. But he loves me. We were talking about JJ McCullough earlier. He had a tweet this morning. He says, it's wild how the Eastern press portrays Premier Smith, who is not a separatist and has never advocated separatism, as this incredibly dark, ominous character, while Yves-Francois Blanchet, who loudly and often says Canada is a stupid country he hates living in, is cast as literally a fun uncle.
And he is actually, Blanchet is absolutely right, but more to the point, JJ McCullough is absolutely right. And this whole, if Quebec does it, oh, that's fine. It's okay. But if Alberta does it, they're a bunch of extremists.
Yeah. We said we were going to get off of Kenny, but like, he's chirping about how, you can't even elect a single MP for separatism. It's like, who said anything about electing an MP? Like, why do we got to play
Why do we
by
need
your
a
rules?
federal representative? Why
Yeah.
do you care about the federal stage when it comes to this?
Yeah. And here's the thing too, like if it's not separatism, like if that's beyond our ability to get, at least it's more autonomy, right?
Yeah.
Like Quebec plays that hand so well. It's like, well, give us this or we'll leave. They get everything they want, right?
And then some. But it's always like whenever Ottawa tries to placate the West, they don't understand it. And this is the fundamental part of the relationship. They just don't understand it. And they're like, well, Randy Bissonnette, one of the Randys, was on an interview talking about how like
Strong Eagle Man
said that Alberta would get more federal money if they voted more Liberals.
Yeah.
We don't want more federal money. We want to keep the money that we have.
Yeah.
And it's just this this disconnect in perspectives, right? Because they look at it, people out east voted for which party would give them the most free shit. And people out west wanted to vote for the party that was going to fuck them over the least. It's like, they're like, hey, we've got a dairy cartel. Don't you appreciate that? Like, no, I'm lactose intolerant. And I'm actually wearing, shout out to the dairy cartel. He sent me and Sean these shirts.
That's deadly.
So DC, thanks for that. I got them. I'm wearing them, and Sean's gonna get his when he comes to town in a week. All right. So Chantal Hebert was on CBC talking about how all of this fuck Carney type thing. It's all new. It's all new. This is all conservative stuff that never ever happened before, and that we're the extremists. And so here's somebody who doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground talking about it. Chantal Hebert from CBC is right. All this time she covered Turner, Mulroney, Harper, or Chrétien. Nobody had signs that said fuck Harper or fuck Chrétien. This CPC is not true conservatives, but turned into a far right-wing group. The rhetoric is terrible. It comes from the U.S. And here's a perfect example from the Huffington Post. And this here's fuck Harper signs. Here's more fuck Harper signs. Here's fuck Harper. And here's that same guy with his fuck Harper car.
They burned a Harper in effigy. I remember that. I don't remember
they beat it with sticks and then burned it in Vancouver.
Yeah. Did that come from the US too or no?
Oh, no. That was organic support. So it's totally different. Here's what happened.
Oil spill in English Bay here that happened earlier this month.
Where am I? I want to scroll ahead.
They took that paper mache effigy right into that busy intersection, Dan, and they started beating it with sticks. But you know what? A short while ago, the protesters were back here at Morton Park, and they actually lit that effigy on fire.
I'm going to confess too. I didn't see you had that in there. I totally derailed your.
No, you were bang on. You were absolutely bang on that. And so, yes, this whole right-wing thing that came from the US, it never existed here before. And all of this shit is totally made up. All of it. And it just so happens that Huffington Post and CBC, like that was literally a CBC reporter talking about that. And they made it up. So Chantal Hebert from the CBC conveniently forgot about their own reporting on this exact thing.
Fuck a bear. Actually, don't.
Oh, God. I'd probably take Elizabeth Mayo.
I'd fuck a bear before I'd fuck a bear.
That's fair. That's fair. And in terms of how much it would cost you, the bear would probably be less expensive. Now, do you remember when Poilievre took all that heat for that picture he took with raging dissident Jeremy McKenzie?
Yes, he's a threat to our democracy.
He is a threat to our democracy. And here's that picture again. Oh, could you imagine the audacity? I think that is absolutely reprehensible that any politician in this country, especially in the lead up to an election, would pose with such a polarizing figure. The next picture is completely unrelated.
He's such a master troll, this guy.
Yeah. Well, and he's even wearing a Diagolon pin.
Oh yeah, look at that. He just dressed up in a nice jacket and came in all stealthy like.
Like he's wearing.
He's literally shaking his hand.
Yeah,
He's
and
literally
it's
shaking
not-
the hand of a Diagolon revolutionary terrorist.
who is outwardly wearing Diagolon member or paraphernalia.
Yeah. Fuck's sake.
Like this is just the silly. Well, it's the silly stuff, but let's get into like the actual silly stuff. Let's see some actual goofy news. So, the U.S. government wants to crack down on elected leaders having the inside track on stock trades, and so they came out with the Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments Act, or for short, the Pelosi Act.
That's perfect.
Oh, see, this is the kind of thing I wish we had more of in Canadian politics. It's great. I love it. I want to see more of it. It's just hilarious. And then also, so Mark Carney did a Nazi salute out of the back of a truck while he was waving at people. And so there's pictures of it. People were commenting on it. And the same people who are saying that Elon Musk is a Nazi because of his Nazi salute
A literal
are
Nazi.
are being literal apologists for Mark Carney when he did it. And there's probably a dozen we could have gone through on this easily, like just within a quick search. But it's just, folks, you need to understand that as much as you like or hate either one of them, Mark Carney is every bit as much a Nazi as Elon Musk is.
The exact same amount. Yep.
Exactly the same amount. And anybody who's telling you different is just trying to sell you something. Also, Tesla, the Wall Street Journal had released a false report saying that the Tesla board had contacted recruitment firms to initiate a CEO search at the company. This was proved to be false. It was proved to be false before the article got published, and they published it anyway. So every time you think you hate the media, it's not nearly enough. Now, this is funny. Patrick Schumer.
I love this.
Or Chuck Schumer. Just here, it's a bit of a clip, but here.
The polls this week showed Trump has the lowest 100-day approval rating since they started polling 80 years ago, the lowest. Even worse, 72% of Americans think it's likely that Trump's handling of the economy will walk us directly into a recession. In people who hate what
This is the same press conference, by the way.
Trump is proposing. Yes.
There was a poll out today that has your approval rating lower than any other congressional leader, like 17%. Are you concerned that you may be a liability for your party?
Polls come and go. Our party is united.
Polls come and go. Well, you're polling at 17%, Chuck. Are you worried about that? Polls come and go.
You know, it's not so much that they'll reverse themselves so quickly and contradict themselves so easily, but that bothers
In
me.
the
It's that they
same
get away
press
with it.
conference.
And literally
Same
minutes later.
press conference.
But it's that they get away with it. So nobody fucking cares, and he'll get reelected.
Yeah. Now, this is probably some of the goofiest news we've ever had on the show, aside from Sean.
I'm excited to be here for this.
All right.
So this woman had filed a report because a man was assaulting her and trying to enter the home and everything like that.
How you doing?
After Catherine Jensen says her ex-boyfriend attacked her minutes before they arrived.
So what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out. Tried to get the keys from my hand of my truck.
So he grabbed you by your neck?
Mm-hmm. Handle him myself. I'm too small.
You say he kicked the door in?
He did.
Charles Reed is the man Catherine claimed broke into her home and assaulted her.
She said I kicked in the door. And why is that a problem? Because I'm in a wheelchair and have been for 25 years.
Oh, come on.
Charles cannot move.
So there was that, and then
He
also
run at it. He must have got like a lot of momentum going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's got crazy good upper body strength.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he doesn't even know about this until he applies for his passport to be renewed. And they're like, well, we can't renew your passport because there's a warrant out for your arrest. And so then he goes to the police station and he's like, hey guys, I'm really confused. Apparently there's a warrant out for my arrest. And then they look into it and they say they got to cuff him. The thing about it is that he can't move his legs. And so they got to cuff him. And they immediately decide that he's faking to try and get away from this. They're like, there's no way. The report says that he kicked down the door. And he's showing up in a wheelchair. This is insane. So here's what happens when he goes to the police station.
I don't have muscle control.
It's too late.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, I could have broken my hip and died like very quickly.
How did they respond?
They literally sat there and just watched me writhe on the ground.
The officer still didn't believe Charles was disabled. Neither did his supervisor, who never put his eyes on Charles before saying this.
It's a ruse, man. So I mean, it's an obvious attempt to not to go to jail. So
A fellow officer disagreed.
might need to call the district attorney's office.
So this is like literally from Talladega Nights, where Ricky Bobby's like, I can't move my legs. I'm in a wheelchair. And they're like, Ricky Bobby, you're fine. You just need to stand up. And he's like, this isn't funny. My laugh is over. And then he stabs himself in the leg with the steak knife. This is that. This is that thing.
It's perfect.
Just get another steak knife in there and use it as a lever to wedge it out. So anyway, apparently this woman later said that she wanted to amend her statement that she made to police.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, probably. I mean, just like, how do you? Oh. So anyway, another interesting thing in goofy news. Radio station faces backlash after listeners duped by AI host for 6 months. So a radio station in Australia, they had this fake person on the radio. Like basically it was DJ X off of Spotify was what they did. And they did it for 6 months and nobody noticed. Nobody put it together. When she said, oh, I got some of your recent favorites coming at you.
I got some songs you were enjoying back in 2023.
Yeah. Hey,
well,
what's
jokes
up?
on you
It's
two.
DJ.
I'm actually an AI.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
Pretty
Very
convincing.
realistic.
Yeah.
Very realistic. And so yes. And then people are mad because basically all this person did on their show was DJ X stuff. It's not like it was long form commentary or current events or anything like that. It was just, oh, we got this new song by whomever. Check it out. Or, I got some new tunes I think you're really going to feel.
Yeah. If you've listened to the radio lately, like if you're somewhere where you can't get Wi-Fi, I'd actually prefer DJ X from Spotify over the DJs they have right now. Yikes.
For the most part, yes, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
With the exception of every once in a while, like there's a few kind of morning show people where you're like, okay, this is interesting and I enjoy tuning into this and whatever else. But even then, when they do like their highlight reels at the end of the week, that's all you need.
It peaked in about 2004 when they had Mike Richards here. Do you remember him?
No, I wasn't here in 2004.
Oh, he was legendary. They brought him up from Toronto. He was a comedian, sports commenter guy, and he had Mike Richards in the morning. And that was back when the Flames were good. It was it was a lot of fun. He did impersonations and stuff. He had like that was peak. After he left, it was like not worth listening anymore.
And Zane just says, dude, I just realized the Lego cat and Titanic in the background. And
and the Concorde.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. Yeah. I'm a man child. I have a lot of Lego.
Yes. All right. So further in goofy news, multi-parent families like thruples to be granted legal rights in Quebec.
Oof.
I don't even know where to go with this. I didn't even bother reading the article. I'm more interested in this thing over the side that says rare two-headed snake turns head California pet store.
That's some good ad targeting.
Like, oh. Like, honestly,
I gotta see this thing. Oh, fuck yeah.
Pet store's double-headed snake
okay.
Now this is news.
A double take. Born
Well,
at the
I
East
mean,
Bay Vivarium
you
in
know,
Berkeley, these
given that
California
we've been covering Canadian politics for this
rare
whole
1 in
episode,
100,000
the fact that
occurrence
now we're
and
talking about a
carries
literal
with it a
double-headed
very
snake
low
instead of a
survival rate.
figurative one is
It's
kind of a nice
An
tie-in.
angel or
Very
Zangel
Jason Kenny like reptile here.
right now.
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
speaking of targeted ads, if you
That's
wanna really fuck up your algorithm, just Google mattresses. Holy shit! I bought I ordered some new foam mattresses for my camper yesterday,
Yep.
and I landed on some page called Mattress Review. I've never seen more aggressive marketing in my life than and even if you're listening to this in your car right now, your phone's probably listening to, you're going to start getting mattress ads. Like I'm just being assaulted with mattress ads. It is, I gotta, if anyone knows someone, if you're listening and you sell mattresses, I want to have you on my podcast. I want to know all about mattress sales. Holy shit, it's aggressive.
Well, I mean, it makes sense given the fact that you've kind of got this narrow window to land the sale, and then you're not going to do it for a very long time afterwards.
Yeah.
But
And they're expensive, and I think there's a lot of margin too.
I mean, I imagine there is, because it's such a fluctuating demand thing. Like I imagine over a big enough population, it roughly evens out. But if you're buying a mattress every 10 years, you know, if you've got one client, you've got this narrow window in a decade to make that one sale.
You better make a good payday off of them.
So,
But you know, and now it's the foam stuff too, because they came up with these like foam delivery mattresses that they compress into a box. Like, what does what does it cost to turn out a rectangle of foam, and they charge you $600 for it?
Well, yeah, and then the shipping isn't too terrible because you know they get it down to like a shoebox.
It's air. It's literally air.
Yeah. So they'll get it down to like a shoebox, and then you got this like weighty thing that that shows up on your doorstep, and you can see the floorboards creaking underneath the step. You pick it up, and then they're like, okay, so just pull this tab only this far, and then leave the room immediately. Right.
Yeah, you touch the tape with a box cutter, and it explodes like a fucking inflatable boat coming off of an airplane or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're not far enough away, when that thing opens up, you're going to look like that woman who got beat up in Vancouver.
Yeah, vote liberal.
Yeah. Okay. So, here's the other thing about so we have this tradition that we started back with the previous host where we would cover interesting things that happened with the Oilers. And they have this, have you heard about the Donaire cannon?
I have not.
Okay, so you know, like t-shirt cannons, right?
Yeah.
Where they'll just fire off t-shirts into the crowd. Boom, 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 boom. The Riders have one that's this giant Gatling gun. It's probably the peak of human civilization.
Are you about to tell me that they shoot Donairs at people?
They shoot Donairs into the crowd at Oilers games. And they're all carefully wrapped and in these like indestructible packages so that they can handle the torque, force, and impact created from shooting this out of a cannon. Usually,
what's the muzzle velocity of an
unladen swallow?
Fuck, of a Donaire rifle.
English or is it an English or African Donaire?
Yeah, Donairs are not migratory.
So anyway, they didn't pack one right at the playoff game the other night. And
who could have possibly predicted this?
Like, this is something where you need really good QA and QC.
Yeah,
but
like
they didn't pack
packing.
one
You
right.
need like a supervisor.
Yeah, like get somebody who does skydiving to just be like, is this packed correctly? So they shoot off a Donaire, which is supposed to be a bullet, but ends up being buckshot.
Yeah.
Into the crowd at the Oilers game. And the worst part is that nobody happened to catch footage of this, or at least that I've seen so far. One of the guys from Oilers Nations was up in the cheap seats and it happened just below him. And so he was talking about it, but nobody had actually videotaped them getting rained with basically what's a Greek salad and meat from 300 feet away. So anyways, great on you, Oilers. I know, right? Like last season, you had the girl with the boobs. And then this year, you got Donairs.
Well, now they're going to have like a Donair sauce stain next to the mustard stain on their wife beater.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
Like, I get it. Because like Donairs, it's kind of that reconstituted meat. And so I could see them being exceptionally popular in a city like Edmonton, where very few people have full sets of teeth.
Yeah, you just give you a spoon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if they'd have sprayed it any harder at the crowd, they would have just had to give everybody nachos.
Gross.
Okay, the other thing is that this woman is now selling emotional support chickens with Oilers colors.
I should have her on my podcast.
The roller coaster of emotions, enough to make your heart race and blood pressure rise.
Do you cheer for a high-character team that refuses to play with a lead? Can your nervous system not tell the difference between being on the penalty kill and being attacked by a bear? If any of these resonate with you, you might need an emotional support playoff chicken.
You heard.
And apparently demand has absolutely exploded. So, I mean, it's this unique combination of fun product, timely interactions, and clever marketing. And
they should shoot those out of the Donair gun.
Yeah. They probably want to wrap raw eggs in them. Knowing
right. That'd be more lifelike, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Right? A Donair cannon. Great, guys. What could possibly go wrong? Like
I can't see any possible downside to this.
This is the exact thing. This is the exact sort of forward thinking that Jurassic Park was built on, guys.
Yeah. I wanted to be in the meeting. I want to be in the meeting where they're like, you know what, we just need to try some new stuff to get the crowd going. Like if we're down a couple of points, like, and somebody actually puts up his hand and says, what if we shot Donairs at people in the crowd out of a cannon? And then other people were like, yes, that's a good idea. We should definitely do that.
Well, what it probably was that they had a very structured meeting at a very large mahogany table. And there was a bunch of really serious people in expensive suits. And they were like, okay, 10:30 to 10:35 is the new pitch for the cannon idea. And then 10:35 to 10:45 is discussing pros. And then 10:45 to 11 is discussing cons. And then at 10:43, they said, guys, it's almost lunchtime. We got to roll. And they said, okay, close enough. We're good.
Let's go for Donairs.
Yeah. No, I don't like those. I don't
know how much liability insurance a Donair launcher has to carry. Should look into that.
Like, what if you hit a vegetarian?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're in trouble. That's a human rights complaint.
Oh, it would be a hate crime.
Yeah, exactly.
Like somebody who just hates tzatziki sauce and they're like, oh, I feel so underrepresented. I feel so underrepresented here.
It's a threat to our democracy.
Okay. This is also in the crazy news. This woman had got onto a plane in just regular fare seats. She saw that there was a first class seat open and she went to go get in it. And they said, well, you can't just do that. And she's like, well, it's empty. I'm just going to upgrade myself. They said, well, you can't just upgrade yourself. This is your seat. And so after it got so bad that the entire plane had to be evacuated, she is standing there a little bit. I feel like this probably would have played better if she was a redhead instead of a blonde. But here you
go.
To
try to get you to calm down, I thought?
No, I was calm, and then you grabbed me.
Ma'am,
unconsensually.
are we going to have, ma'am, slowly, don't you, I don't know. Ma'am, do you have any weapons on your person?
I don't have it. You know, my nails are my weapons. You grab me again, I'm going to scratch you. I'm gonna scratch you.
Like Meg
Get
from
out
Family
now.
Guy.
No, I'm gonna scratch you. Get out.
Ma'am. 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 All right. We got ma'am. Let go. Ma'am.
That looks like my 14-year-old daughter the other night when she refused to go inside the McDonald's to eat.
What?
Oh, never mind.
No, I'm genuinely curious at this
Oh
point.
well,
She didn't
so
wanna
okay,
go
so,
into
so the
McDonald's.
kids wanted to get McDonald's for
Mhm.
dinner because, you know,
They want McDonald's for every meal.
Yeah, because it's crack for children, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not ordering in. I want to eat it hot right when it comes out of the kitchen. I'm going to go in there. We're going to sit in the restaurant. I'm not going in there, Dad. There's going to be people in there. I'm like, okay, well, you can sit in the car, and me and your sister are going to go in and eat, and then we'll bring the rest home for you after, and you can eat it cold. And oh yeah, full on tantrum there. And you know, I'm weak, so she got her way.
Oh,
That's some
it
parenting.
was a great story right up until the end. Now
Yeah.
I'm sad.
I should have lied. Shit.
Yeah, they don't do takeout from this spot. Now here's just we're almost done with the crazy entitled women. We just have one more. Meghan Markle is doing a podcast appearance on the Kern Lima show.
On something exciting coming up for As Ever. I've had your jam in my refrigerator all year. No one knows. No one's seen it. I have not posted it.
In this incredible conversation, Meghan shares stories and insights for the first time ever.
Could you imagine if
Are
we
literal
did a
actual
video
people
like that?
watching? Fuck.
Could you imagine if we did that for you being on the mashup?
It's not about the grandeur of a gesture. It's about I see you. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply. And I love being able to see your growth. That man loves me so much. And, you know.
Can we make
That
that?
would be the part where she says she loves him, by the way.
Yeah. I hate actors. Oh my God.
Oh my. Like, actually, you know what? I kind of feel like if we had a production team, I'd be like, make a Meghan Markle video of me and Taylor.
Yeah, sign me up. I'm in.
Ontario must cover U.S. surgery for trans patient who wants vagina and to keep her penis.
Oh, that guy can go fuck himself.
He literally will be able to. Yes. Yes. So these are your tax dollars at work. And so now, happy news, folks. I didn't put these in, so you're seeing them all new and fresh. Miniature Dachshund found safe after surviving 529 days in the Australian wilderness. In the part of the world where literally every plant, bug, and animal is developed after millions of years of evolution to murder humans, this tiny little dachshund, this little like purse dog, survived for a year and a half in the woods.
That's impressive. They got spiders bigger than that dog. I hope they breed him. I hope he's not neutered because like that dog's got some valuable genes.
It's well, I mean, the dog's rolled over, so you get a view of the bottom in this picture, and it's not a he, so there's hope, I guess.
Well,
Yep.
Hope they breed her.
Yep.
Hope she's not spayed.
Yep.
That dog's a
Strangers team
survivor.
up to save
Warrior.
wild horses trapped in mud pit. In Heber, Overgard, Arizona, where a mare and her foal became trapped in a dangerously dying mud pit, and quick actions of local volunteers and photographers. Come on, guys. The quick actions of the volunteers and photographers. Both horses are now safe and back in the wild where they belong. So these weren't even people's horses. They were just wild horses.
Hey, what happens if you eat the banana every day?
Oh, what's this? If
Never-
you eat a
never
banana
mind.
every day. Oh, yeah. Okay. If you eat a banana
fuck, you
every
actually
day,
clicked
this
on
is what happens. Oh, it's
Oh,
a
you're
video.
getting
Now all of my ads are going to be about eating bananas.
You should be using Sean's computer and get all the spyware on his instead, clicking that shit.
Okay. And then this should have been goofy news, but guys, this is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about today. I don't know if you guys remember, Bud Light did a thing a little while back where they had this transgender person as the face of their beer. And it caused a multi-billion-dollar backlash. But what actually ended up happening was that they were fucked. They were screwed. They closed entire plants. It was a disaster from start to finish. And now Coca-Cola has their names back. You can get your names back on the bottles again. And to commemorate this, I was filling up on my way to Lloyd in Red Deer, and I stopped at the Petro Pass just across from Gasoline Alley, and this was the ad they have up. So they have two bottles right next to each other that say Leah Thomas. Now, for those of you who don't know who Leah Thomas is, this is Leah Thomas.
I've never seen that before picture. He actually looked more like a girl before he grew his hair out.
You know what? You're actually really correct. I mean, imagine, well, you know what? In this case, maybe it was a little bit justified then.
Could they not come up with a better combination of two names here? Like,
yes,
like was like Adolf and Hitler taken?
Well, maybe they just had like the letter A and then they had Dolph afterwards, and you put them together and you get Adolf, or like, oh shoot, what? Maybe they had Osam and then Abin next to them, and then Laden at the end. But yeah, so Coca-Cola and Petro-Canada have apparently teamed up with transgender swimmers to bring you their new named bottles this year. So well done, guys. Well done. I can't see that going poorly for you at all.
Just save that. If you're at a Petro can and that's on the cooler, save that. That's going to be collectible. Peel that off.
I should have just stole the sign, I guess.
And you know what? $2 or two Cokes for $5.50. That's a fucking deal. Like, what happened?
Inflation,
I guess. Yeah.
But the inflation's in your head. It's only gone up a few percentage points.
It's transitory.
Yes. And well, in this case, it definitely is transitory. Okay, so community notes. Anybody have any? I'm not sure exactly where tickets are at for the Cornerstone Forum. I don't think you can get food if you buy them at this point, but I'm sure you can still get them. There's also the trade show part of it. So if you think that you want to get a booth or anything like that, I think there's still some available. Sean would be the guy to double check with on all of this stuff, but tickets, show pass, Sean Newman, podcast Cornerstone Forum. And then you can reach out to him directly if you're looking to get a booth. It's a week away. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Apparently, the idiot's going to have me up on stage. I'm totally going to screw with his timing, like on purpose. I'm going to have specific segments that go like 4 seconds over, and he's going to be pissed right off. It's going to be hilarious.
Who's following you? You're going to screw them up.
Oh, I'm a tough act to follow just in general.
You're the closer. You should go last.
I'm not sure exactly where I fit into the schedule of things, but yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of people are going to be there. So meet some people that like the same things you do and think like you do. And I don't know. I think that's about it, man.
Well, cool. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
You know, Two's just texted me yesterday. Hey, what did you think about co-hosting the mashup? I said, that sounds like a lot of fun. We're just kind of winging it, but that's my speed, man. So it was
it works out
a lot
perfect.
of fun, and thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you coming on. tkre.ca.
That's right. Yep. Or you can find at Taylor King Real Estate on Instagram. And you know, I do have an X account, but I'm kind of anonymous on there because
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I say things that could get me in trouble, and I can't bring any negative light on my regulated industry. So, anyways,
fair enough.
Instagram. Yeah.
All right, and then Commission Impossible is the podcast. I enjoy it.
I'm glad. I got to record another one soon.
I would be listening to it if I didn't know you.
That's high praise. Appreciate that. And maybe you'll be my next guest.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that works. Okay. So
Sounded
don't
like a
close
no.
anything out. We're just gonna end the stream, which probably doesn't have music. And I'm sorry, Kevin, and your friends.